Hi guys, and welcome back to Mulberry Ranch Farm. It's Ashley here with you again. It is a hot, humid day in the Hoosier State. It might not look hot and humid, but it's because I'm in the shade, because it is going to be a hot one today. 90 degrees and plus is supposed to be our high. It's going to feel even hotter with the humidity. On days like today, I worry more about my livestock than I do myself, because I have access to AC. I can get a cold drink whenever I want it. They, on the other hand, are completely at my mercy in how I've set them up to deal with the summer heat. So today on Mulberry Branch Farm, stick with us. Here's 10 tips on how to keep your livestock cool in the high summer. The most important thing on a hot day for your livestock is water. Nice, clean, cold water. We really try to make sure that we dump our water every single day and put in fresh, clean, cold water. This is to encourage your animal to drink, because if you were given a hot bottle of water on a hot day and a cold bottle of water, which one would you drink? Way to make sure that your water stays clean, cold, and fresh longer during the day when it's this hot outside is move it to the shade if you have it available. There are a couple really easy ways to make sure that the water stays cold. So you might notice that my water for my dairy does is in full sun. There's really not a whole lot of places that I can put it that will keep it in the shade that's close to my water spigot, so it goes right there. So for that specific water trough, it's really important that we refill it every single day with nice, clean, cold water. But if there's going to be a point where maybe we know we're going to be really busy and we can't refill it every single day, there's a really easy trick for that, guys. So if the shade source isn't available for you to put your water in to keep it cooler longer, you can always add ice. And I don't mean that you have to go buy bagged ice, which that is definitely something you can do. But if you have old water bottles laying around, all you do is refill them with water, plop them in the freezer, and then put them in the stock tank. That'll help keep your water a little cooler, a little longer. A really great thing about using water bottles in this fashion to cool down your water troughs, once you're done at the end of the day and they've thawed out, you just wipe them off, put them back in the freezer, and they're good to go the next day. So they're totally reusable. The next thing that's really important on hot days like today is to make sure that you have plenty of shade. I'm standing in it because it's too hot to be out in the sun. So make sure that you have adequate shade for the number of animals that you have. It's always a few degrees cooler in the shade, so that's going to help them, and it's something natural that's provided by trees, your structures. Another thing you can do in the shade to help them stay cooler longer is wet the grass or the dirt in that area. Poseidon and Wolfie know how to stay cool. They're over here in the shade. There are a couple things that you can do in your barn to keep your livestock cool. One of those things is a fan. Make sure that you have fans that are creating a wind tunnel. This will help air circulate more. Make sure that their stalls are clean and clear of debris, especially if you have dirt floors. This will allow the cooling dirt to kind of help cool them down. So it's really important to keep those floors clean. A bonus for keeping those floors nice and clear so that they can cool down on dirt floors or cement floors in the shade, they help cut down on bugs. If you don't have any feces or dirty materials in your barn, there's really no draw for flies or biting insects that can make the heat a little more unbearable for your livestock. Another really handy tip, if you have fans and it just doesn't seem like it's doing enough, there are a lot of different misters, and if you place a wet towel over the fan and let it blow in the direction you want to, it'll cool the air even more before it sends the air towards them. So that's another really good tip to help keep your livestock cool in hot weather. One thing you want to really cut down on too is stress. Show season often comes in high summer. So the more stress that you can cut down on your animal, the less likely they are to succumb to any type of heat sicknesses, or that it'll affect their performance, weight gain, or any of those things that matter in the show ring. There are also a lot of supplements that you can give an animal to help combat stress in the heat. Some of those are listed here. The next tip is something that's often overlooked by many new livestock owners. Your feed regimen should change with the heat. The reason that you should change your feeding regimen in the summer when it's very hot, if you're still feeding grain, especially for show animals or market animals, a lot of those feeds contain hot grains. What that means is that when they're consumed in the body, they raise the body's metabolism, raising the body temperature to actually digest those specific grains in their diet. Another tip to keep your animals nice and cool in this hot weather that's also kind of fun for them and fun if you have kids, make them ice treats. You guys can see that we've made these ice treats for our chickens, and we've already used quite a bit of them because it's been really hot here in the Hoosier State. So I'll show you guys how to make these ice treats. I'll also link some recipes down in the description below for different species of livestock. Ice treats are really good for your livestock. It encourages the animal to get the treat that's inside your ice. So with these, it's just a can of whole kernel corn poured into an ice cube maker with water. You could do this with horses, pigs, cows, goats. There's some that have large bowls of water filled with molasses and other sweet treats that they just dump out for the animals once they're frozen. Now, if you're going to do this, please use plastic containers. If you use glass containers with anything that you're freezing, there's a good chance you're going to bust that container. The last and final tip, if you have an animal that's predisposed to heat stress, or you're just worried about your animals getting too hot in general, it's always a good practice several times a day to go out, wet their heads, their bellies, and their legs. These areas are more receptive to taking cold temperatures and feeding it throughout the body to cool the core body temperature. If you do have an animal that's already showing extreme signs of heat stress, you need to cool them down immediately. If it's pulling them out of the field and getting them in a stall with fans on them, get a bucket of water. Try not to let it to be ice cold, because this can shock their body and send them into an arrest. So any type of water temperature aside from boiling or ice cold will work to cool that animal down. Remember, if your animal's showing heat stress and you're doing all these things and seeing no improvement, please get in contact with your local livestock veterinarian. Guys, I worked up even more of a sweat getting all of that done and showing you how we keep our animals cool. But that's going to do it for us today here on Mulberry Ranch Farm. We've got all of our waters changed out nice and fresh. We've moved some of our water sources out in the shade. And if we couldn't get them in the shade, we added some ice water bottles to keep our animals nice and cool, not to mention some icy treats. So I hope you guys found this helpful. I hope that you'll use these practices to keep your animals nice, cool, safe, and healthy in the high summer heat. Drop us a like, leave us a comment, and if you really want to, subscribe. But until next time, guys, thanks for being here with us. Bye.
What's up, boys?